Let's just go ahead and get started on this. A little early on the intro, but it doesn't really matter all that much. We'll get into it. So, welcome back to another Unreal Engine study session. I'm your host, Strange Bro Jim, and today we're going to be continuing on with our submixes section study session that we started yesterday. We got, partway through. We finished off the send to submixes using send attenuation yesterday, so we're going to be starting off with the send dynamically to submixes in Blueprint. Not sure when, how much we'll get through on this, but we'll see. We'll see. You know what uh, what we cover and all that. Blackheart's waiting in the stage, so let me definitely invite him to speak. There we go.
Hello there, Jim. How you doing?
Not bad there, bud. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, we're gonna be continuing on our Unreal study session today. Obviously, if anybody we're probably gonna be making some mistakes, or we're probably gonna be like going, what's this line? So we encourage anybody that that might have those answers. Feel free to leave it into our chat or comment section. That would be very, very helpful for us. So, um, let's see. Anything else that I should cover? What do you think there,
Mm,
Blackheart?
Not that I can think of right off my head.
Okay. So I guess we'll just go ahead and get started then.
Yeah.
All right. So, send dynamically to submixes in Blueprint. So this Blueprint function provides a way for audio components to dynamically route their audio to arbitrary submixes using whatever method you choose. Okay. To arbitrary submixes. Okay. Um, I mean, why send dynamically? So um, I guess what it is that they're just basically saying, hey, um, when you need to, when this event starts, then we need to trigger this particular audio event. Is that what I'm kind of reading into this here? The audio
Yeah.
and
The
then,
audio and the submix.
yeah. Although, I mean, wouldn't the audio be part of the submix anyway? So I'm kind of confused about what this
I get
combo
how it
is.
treats the audio is different. Yeah.
Maybe.
There must be some configuration that's different between one and the other.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe it's just temporarily adding it into that segmix or something like that. I don't know.
Maybe just
Um,
another audio that doesn't need the submix. Well, the submix have probably multiple audios in there.
Potentially. Um, okay, to set a submix send, you will need a target, the audio component to use for sending audio to the submix. So that's this audio, that's the target. The submix where audio will be sent. Okay, so this audio will be sent into this particular submix. Okay.
Okay.
And the send level, the amount of audio to send, such as a percentage of total volume. Okay, so according to this, about, I guess, 50% of that audio will be sent um, into that submix. Um, So it's gonna be like, um, not as loud. Although, I
I'm guessing
mean,
it is what we're referring to. Like when it says level, I think of it how loud it's gonna be.
yeah, I mean that it's saying, percentage of total volume. So, so if you'd use 100%, then it's basically, hey, you're using the max volume you know, that it's been set at, whereas if you do the 50%, then you're basically halving the volume, or you're making it half as loud as
Yeah.
it could be. Now, um, is it basing the percentage off of, like, you send the audio in, like, you create an audio, like a dialogue, for example, taking the volume, you're taking your mic, you're recording the line, and you're putting you know, uh, that spoken line into, the audio, or you're uploading it into the engine, right?
Yeah.
Is that automatic? I'm just kind of thinking out loud. I don't know if you happen to know the answer there, Blackheart, but you know, um, but I'm just thinking aloud here. Is that you know, uh, recording that we just uploaded automatically put at 100% total volume? Meaning that, like if I scream into a mic, will I consider that the 100%? Or if I put it um, into the engine, can I actually even increase that volume even more? Somehow. you know, um, that's what I'm
Mm,
that's what I'm kind of wondering about right at this moment in time.
I'm thinking like kinda like if you're recording it, depending on the settings of your mic, like if you put it to capture the 100% or to alter the volume on it as it's being recorded, that will be the one that will take us 100%.
That's one
And
of
I've
That's what I'm figuring as well. Like any, you record some kind of audio, you put it into the engine, it should automatically consider that at, the 100%, like this is the max, you know, uh, the max volume you can really go for. Or maybe it's something that you can kind of adjust when you like upload it. Maybe like, hey guys, I had to unfortunately whisper during this particular moment in time, so can you consider this like 10% of the total volume when you upload it? I don't know. I'm not quite sure how they judge that. So,
I guess it'll depend on what software you're using.
yeah, yeah, again, I don't know. Um, does is it something that you can adjust, when you upload it, directly into the Unreal Engine, or is it, Unreal Engine automatically takes those audios that you upload and automatically set the total volume of that to be 100%? So, for example, in this particular example that they're giving for the target for the audio, they're saying that, hey, this audio is a little too loud for us. Like, we don't really want it as loud as what was recorded, so we're gonna half that volume by 50%, by 50%, right? I mean, I can kind of understand that a little bit, you know. Um, like if someone uses a gun to shoot or something like that, maybe they don't necessarily want the full volume of that gunshot, right? So, you
The
know,
best example I can think of right now is like when we use OBS. Uh, Whatever is the audio is set on, say, the game or plane, on OBS you can lower that volume separately. So
yeah,
even if you're hearing it in one way, the output towards the audience is actually lesser than what we're actually hearing.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I'm kind of figuring.
Yeah,
Like,
I feel like that's what this is doing. The what's showing in the image.
yeah. Um, yeah. So, in a sense, yes. That's how I'm kind of leaning towards. Um, that the audio is basically, what we are hearing, right? Like we're raising and lowering our volume, you know, through our speakers, through our headsets, whatever, right? Through our earbuds. Um, that's the 100%, and the send level is basically saying like, hey, we're going to adjust the OBS to, be either higher. So, so while it might not be blasting our ears off, it could be blasting the audience's ears off, or, um, you can lower it, you know, so that, you know, um, it's not like overshadowing our voices when we're speaking. You know, that's you know, but again, uh, we don't really know completely. You know what uh, what they set the audio to. So maybe they have the audio set for like 10% when it first gets loaded up. We don't know. I don't know. Seems a little weird if they did it that way, but I mean, um,
I guess it all depends on the audio file.
yeah, you know, uh, well, I'm just like I said, I'm not quite sure what they set the audio file percentage to. You know, uh, do they have the audio file percentage set automatically to 100%, and therefore when they do the send level of 50%, they're basically having it, or is it set to like 10% when they first upload it, and with this little submix send, they're actually increasing the volume by a lot, you know, from the 10% up to 50%. I don't really know. It all depends on, how, what they're adding the audio in, what percentage. So, and I'm not really seeing where that might be right at this moment in time. So, oh well. Shall we move on or?
Let's move on.
Okay. Use audio volume to send to submixes. Audio volume supports sending audio to submixes in a similar way to how. Wait, hold on. Audio volume supports sending audio to submixes in a similar way to how sends are set up directly on sound sources. That's a little bit of a confusing sentence there, but um, they really should like capitalize sends if it's meant to be more of like an application, you know. But the primary difference is that the submix send is based on its location relative to the audio volume geometry. So the properties of the submix send array are identical to the properties that are directly set in the sound sources themselves. Okay. Sound sources will send their audio to a given submix send array based on whether the listener location state shows the listener inside or outside the volume. Audio volume also supports submix override depending on the listener location state. The submix is overridden by a specified effect chain depending on whether the listener is inside or outside of the volume. Hmm, let's see. Okay. Um, okay, so we've messed around with the audio volume before, right? You know, we did the
Yeah.
the cube, the sphere, the stairs, and all that, right? So it's talking about how you can, you know, when you add um, audio into the audio volume, you know, you can set it up so that it will send to, you know, a particular sound mix or the submix. Um, but they state, you know, primary difference is that the submix send is based on its location relative to the audio volume geometry. So in other words, if, you know, you can send it to that submix, but if that submix is like super far away, then the volume might be, you know, pretty low maybe. So maybe, you know, I don't know. I don't know how, you know, what's kind of going on there. Um,
Yeah, from what I'm seeing, it's like similar to sound classes, but instead of putting the sound class on the audio, you're putting the submix to the audio volume instead, altering its behavior.
yeah. Well, maybe not too much behavior, but you know, just overall volume in general. Unless of course there's a way for you to, you know, um, uh, like enable some form of like reverb or you know, like the um, you know, some form of echo to it, you know, something like that. Maybe like if your audio volume is like blocks away in a city, for example, right? Like you're talking about like a manufacturing plant that might be, you know, like really loud, really noisy right at this moment in time. And you're a couple blocks away, you're kind of like walking towards that audio volume. You know, you are that submix send, I guess. Um, like if there's buildings between you and that factory, you know, would when it's trying to send the audio from that audio volume to the submix, you know, is it going to take into consideration that it has to like travel through other like volumes that might, you know, distort it, or you know, will it automatically go, well, it's, you know, you didn't set it up properly, so, you know, based off of the distance, we're just going to lower the volume and that's it. You know, um, not sure personally. Um, hmm. Not. It feels to me like we might need to kind of come back to this one later. I mean, unless you're perfectly fine with it and you're good to go. You know, but for me, it feels like this might be something that we might need to look into a little bit more later.
Yeah. I'll probably have to experiment with it, but from what I'm seeing, it will be like I said, I will have to treat it like a sound class, but for audio volume.
Yeah.
'Cause it makes me feel like when you put the submix onto the audio volume, its configuration is what's gonna take priority.
Well, I don't know if the submix itself will take kind of priority.
Because on the sound mix itself, you can set the minimum and maximum distance, which is the attenuation.
Right.
You can set the level, minimum and maximum, and you can also alter the wave. Audio volume doesn't have that much, and that's why I feel like the audio volume would use the sound mix configuration instead of its own. Sort of like what sound class does to a sound whenever we put it to it. When we type an ambient, it'll treat the sound like an ambient.
Yeah. Hmm.
And so this would take some messing around with to
Yeah.
fully understand it.
Yeah. I think we might need, obviously, we don't know exactly what's kind of going on here or at least, for me, I don't know exactly what's kind of going on there. What the different main difference is between them. Obviously, we may need to kind of consider looking up a tutorial video for that or something like that if there's one. Again, if anybody knows of a particular video that might explain that a little bit better, then I welcome the link. Um, but um, or if anybody wants to explain it better, then that would be fantastic. Um, but yeah. Um, yeah. Okay. Move on. Okay, so submix properties. Well, on a graph editor, the property details panel displays the selected submix in the submix graph. Okay. Properties. Mute when backgrounded allows the submix to be automatically mute itself by applying a volume scalar of 0 on its output when the application is backgrounded. This feature allows a game to continue playing audio in the background by default for some audio but not all. Submix effect chain. This is an array of submix effects through which the mixed submix audio will be fed. These effects are implemented with the synthesis and DSP effects plugin. Other Unreal Engine plugins can also extend the list of submix effects available. Ambisonics plugin settings. Um, this property allows plugins to optionally allow a submix to encode audio sources sent to it as an ambisonic sound field. These settings define sound field encoding properties. Okay. Not quite sure. Like, mute when backgrounded, sure, okay. That's understandable about that. Submix effect chain, not quite sure what's going on there per se, or um, what do you mean by an effect chain? That's kind of what I'm kind of wondering about. Like, does it go like audio to audio to audio to audio, like not an actual chaining of audios together, or is it something else entirely? I'm not sure what they're referring to there on that one. Um, Ambisonics, no clue.
We did read about ambisonics at one point, and we will have to read it up on our own time again.
And that was back in the native sound field Ambisonics, which was quite a few
Yeah,
different sections ago on that. I don't think we were really understanding that particular topic to begin with anyway, so
not well enough. That what I remember.
yeah,
We had some trouble with that one.
yeah. So that again, some more confusion there. So parent submix. The parent to the selected submix, the parent submix receives the rendered output as input. Okay, and that's standard. We've seen that kind of before. Oh, I forgot the note. The only settings type this property will accept is for Oculus and Sonic settings when the Oculus plugin is enabled. Okay. Child submixes. An array of child submixes that feed their audio as input into the select submix. But wait, there is only one. There's only one output. So how could there be an array of child? That doesn't make any sense. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Like you can have multiple parents, but you can't have multiple children. Shouldn't that be like the other way
Mm,
around? They stated that the output can only be there's only one output, but you can take in multiple inputs.
yeah,
So how can you have an array of different children?
I don't know.
Matter of fact, wait, hold on. They're showing that the master EQ submix default and master reverb submix default are both children. But wait, shouldn't these be parents to the master submix default? Hmm,
Not sure.
that seems very suspect.
But
Very confusing there.
we'll probably understand it once we get to the blueprint section of how this is actually read.
Yeah, I don't
Because
know.
this is using the blueprints configuration, and maybe it's a little bit like backwards how it works.
Hmm, maybe. But I mean, my problem is that there was another image that showed the exact opposite of that. Um,
The regular submix showed it as a parent. The master submix is a repeated image, and it doesn't say parent on the master one, only on the regular submix, which it never really tell us what the difference is between one and the other.
yeah, yeah, you're right. The master submix does treat anything coming into its input as a child, whereas a regular the submix itself, and a non-master is treating anything that comes into the input as a parent. That makes things really confusing. Not
Yeah,
not gonna lie. They really should kind of treat um they really should treat the input and output as similar, even if it's master or not. They really should, you know, change that around in some way. But I don't know. Maybe they're just kind of limited by their own coding. They kind of backed themselves into a corner when they made this submix, and they were like going, "Oh wait, we should probably make this into a master." Oh, but we're causing ourselves problems with this. Kind of thing. I don't
yeah.
know. But yeah, this isn't. I don't know. Okay. Um. Okay, where did I stop off at? There it is. envelope follower. The DSP algorithm that outputs the amplitude of an audio signal that has been smoothed out over time. Attack time values define how quickly the algorithm reacts to increasing amplitude attack and decreasing amplitudes release. Um, yeah, I'm not quite sure what they're really talking about there. Not gonna lie. Um, that has been smoothed over time. Uh, and increasing amplitude and decreasing amplitude, attack and release. Yeah, I think this really needs to be expanded more. I'm not quite sure exactly what they're talking about here. Um, or at least I personally am not really understanding what they're trying to get at there. I mean, are you?
No.
Okay. I wanted to ask because if you somehow are gleaning some information out of it, um, then I wanted you to maybe explain it to me if you understood. But yeah, um, obviously DSP's been you know used multiple times. Matter of fact, what was DSP again?
Um, digital sound. What was it again? The P. Processing.
Processing. Yep.
Digital sound processing. Digital sound processing.
Digital signal processing.
Signal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, we have that, but um, but again, even that is still kind of confusing. Not gonna lie. Um,
Mm.
you know, like what all goes into a digital signal processing. So, I mean, let's face it. There's a lot of terms that they're throwing at us that I personally have never used before. So, trying to take it all in is difficult. But I mean,
Yeah.
we'll do the best we can. Obviously, it might be better if we actually had someone that's a sound engineer to kind of work through on this, but I mean, we'll have to deal with that until that time comes. But for now, we'll do the best that we can with with what we have. So, driving the amplitude of an audio signal using an envelope follower is significantly more effective than using the raw audio data because audio signals can be significantly faster. For example, 48,000 samples per second than game frames, for example, 60 frames per second. Um, Submixes also have a blueprint API that allows a blueprint to receive an amplitude envelope for audio rendered in a submix. These properties define how the envelope follower behaves. Um, what did they mean by envelope follower? What did they mean by envelope in general? What exactly is an envelope? uh, well, whatever. Um, Submix level controls the overall volume levels for the submix. The values in the category can be optionally set to display linear volume gain, such as zero point 0 to 1.0, or decibels, negative 120 decibels to 0 decibels. The decibel is a common volume measurement that accounts for the fact that volume is perceived logarithmically. Um, output, output volume controls the overall output volume for the whole submix in both dry and wet channels. What? Huh? Wait, what? Um, What do they mean? That okay. It is not recommended that you mix gain volume using this property, but it can be useful for tweaking the volume in a submix. Okay. Oh, here we go. Wet level and dry level, apparently. Uh,
Okay.
Wet level, the output volume of the audio that was fed through the submix effect chain. Okay. By default, this is set to 1.0. That is assumed that most uses of a submix are intended to be fully wet, with all audio sent through the effects. Okay. And then dry level, this is the output volume of the audio that was not fed through the submix effect chain. By default, this is set to 0, as it's assumed that most uses of a submix are intended to be fully wet. All audio sent through the effects. Okay, so um, you know, this is a very weird way of stating those terms, but okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Um, we'll deal with what they gave us. Um, so in other words, um, so I'm assuming, like the submix effect chain is, similar to like, hey, you need to add in um, a reverb at this one particular point in time. You need to add in the echo effect. You need to increase at this point and decrease at that point. You need to do this. You need to do that. Here's all these things that happen to the sound as it travels, right?
Right.
Um, and therefore it's considered wet at that point. Um, Whereas if you have some form of audio that can kind of pierce through all that, that doesn't get affected by anything that, like, um, like maybe think of it this way. Like you have like a face-off between the good guy and versus the bad guy, right? And you have the player kind of talking to the bad guy, but it has all this, distortions and stuff like that that's happening. As the good guy's like talking to the bad guy, going, "Oh, you're gonna pay for what you did. How dare you, cause all this destruction?" And you hear all the explosions that kind of distort, blah blah blah, right?
Mm.
Um, Whereas the bad guy and goes, haha, I can talk to you with my mind. So, you have an audio dialogue that goes directly into the good guy's, mind, for example, as though there's nothing being distorted whatsoever. He's kind of talking naturally. So there's no distortion there, I guess. So that would be considered more of a dry level, maybe?
Right. From my understanding, like wet level, it will use submix configuration. Dry level doesn't use the submix configuration at all.
Well, okay. It might still be used into a submix. Okay.
It itself is saying it's not being fed through the submix. If it's not
Well,
being fed through the submix, it's not going through it at all.
be careful here because it says fed through the submix effect chain. Okay. Doesn't say it's not fed through the submix. It's saying through the submix effect chain. Okay. So those are from what I can determine, those are like two. I mean, you still have the submix kind of thing, and you have maybe something that's going on in that submix called the effect chain that's kind of distorting the sounds that are kind of inside of it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that, the audio can't be fed into like a different submix that isn't being affected by an effect chain. So just I just want to put that out there that it might be Um, it might still be fed into a submix, but that a submix might not necessarily have something happening to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
If I were to put this in a game example, I could use like Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know if you've seen like any playthrough of it.
not much, but
There are there is like a character with sort of like a tentacle face. Whenever it talks, it has sort of like an echo-ish effect to
hmm
it. That would be the wet level.
right,
Because it is going through some kind of filter that the sound mix effect chain is putting because it is putting the echoing effect.
right.
But when another character is talking, like the vampire who doesn't have any effect, where he's like talks and sounds perfectly normal, that would be the dry one.
Maybe, but again, it depends on the area as well. Like they could be like inside like a hall that is very echoey. So, while
Yeah, but that is like a different kind of effect because that would be more of the ambient affecting the sound, not the sound itself.
but that might be still a part of that effect chain though. That's my point. It could be, the sound might be entering into that particular submix of being inside that hall, and the echo effect is like distorting that particular sound happening.
Yeah, in this case, it
So,
wouldn't be. Like I said, I had been watching some of those streams. I heard them
yeah,
already.
yeah,
Like the only one with the echoing sound is just the guy with the tentacles. The human, the elf, and the halfling or whatever it was called, they were sounding perfectly normal.
yeah. But I
Only
mean,
that guy had the echoing effect, since he doesn't really speak through his mouth,
mm,
or I don't know how that guy speaks.
yeah, yeah, no, I know what you're talking about, but I'm just saying that like if you go into like a dialogue situation, sometimes they remove any kind of echoing effect. I get that. But if you're like in a combat situation or something like that where you're like inside of a room, um, and they speak like I'm going to attack, but it's inside of an echoey room, versus like, they're outside, then it might apply a submix effect chain of being echoed right then and there. So the like um like you might take that same dialogue like I'm going to attack, right? You take it outside, there's no echo effect whatsoever, it's not necessarily applied in through a submix effect chain, so it's more of a dry level in that regard. Whereas if you go into, say, like an echoey hall and they're like, I'm going to attack, but, it kind of echoes, then that might be that wet level of, having that, you know, uh, echo nature to it being added into that or something. I'm just, you know, that's what I'm kind of thinking personally, but again, I don't know. Um, I don't know if I'm on the right track or not on that, but that's how I'm kind of thinking about that for the most part, but we'll see.
Yes.
Um, okay, so it's already 3 o'clock, my friend, unfortunately.
Yeah, I
And
need
we
to go get some food.
we still haven't gotten through the rest of this, unfortunately. So,
Yeah.
shall we go ahead and we're there's still a lot left.
Yeah.
So, shall we close on down for tonight for the rest of this, and we'll try to finish this off um, tomorrow,
Monday. I'm
Monday.
not streaming tomorrow.
You're not streaming tomorrow. That's correct. So, um, well, wait. You're gonna try to stream on Monday? Well, I mean,
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
Like tomorrow, no, it's not only New Year's, it's also my dad's birthday.
right.
So,
That,
and
that,
I'm in charge of the barbecue at night, and so I
yeah,
can't make it
yeah,
at
no,
all.
no
While
worries.
on Monday, like I am available on Monday
Okay,
afterwards,
okay. I mean, you do stay up.
unless you have
Uh,
plans.
you do stay up well past midnight anyway on your normal gameplay, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, you're very much like a night owl like myself. Um, but okay.
Well, so would say a vampire.
Hmm, um, okay. So in other words, you're a dragon vampire. Gotcha. That's
I'm a demon dragon.
that's. Wait, you're a demon dragon vampire? What? Okay. Okay. Um, that's a little wicked combination there. Okay. Um. Okay. Well, if you do come, stream on Monday, then we'll see you then. But
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that's. I think that's where we're gonna go ahead and call it for now, there, everybody. We'll continue on with the submix section on Monday, if not Tuesday. Um, and then hopefully we'll finish off this section by then. Hopefully there won't be too many more confusing sections.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, but there might be. Um, but we'll see. Again, if there's something that you need to, if you're watching this and you have some answers for us, we welcome that. Constructive criticism is always welcome as well. Um, you know, um, but yeah, I think that's where we're gonna go ahead and call it for tonight. Now, Blackheart, you obviously you're gonna go and grab something to eat, obviously.
Yep.
And in about an hour and a half, you're probably gonna be. You said that you're gonna start up some Genshin Impact, right?
Yep.
Okay. Just kind of putting that out there for everybody, just in case anybody's, wants to go watch, Blackheart's content on my channel. You go over and check out his Genshin Impact streams. Um, for myself, I have, I'm gonna be doing some video uploads, trying to get caught up on all the backlog of videos that I have. I'm getting close, getting close. So it's gonna get to the point where I'm gonna be able to, um, after I'm done recording, you know, like today's videos, I can just upload, you know, release them the next day, and maybe even do some editing. Okay, man. Um, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But that's what I'm gonna be doing in the next hour, and then I got Warframe after that. So gonna continue with the Warframe journey. So that's over here on my channel. So if anybody wants to come and watch that, you're welcome to. Or you can watch both. That'd be good too. you know,
Yep. Lurkers are welcome on my channel.
indeed, indeed. So okay. Well, that's gonna be it, my friend. You have yourself a good night. You enjoy your New Year's. Um, you know, wish your father a happy birthday, and
Thank you.
I will see you on Monday, if not Tuesday. All right?
Yeah.
All right. Take care. Have a good night.
Okay.
Catch you next time.
Have a good night. Have a happy new year.
Indeed.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. And that's it for today's Unreal video study session. So, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Didn't have any chatters, but that's okay. Anybody that was just kind of lurking in the background, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. hopefully you enjoyed this study session. Maybe you learned a few additional things on it. We'll see. Feel free to, say, yeah, man, you're doing good. Keep on going. You know, always looking for that positive reinforcement there, guys. So, um, also, if you're trying to study along with us, then, keep on going. Keep on pushing through. You know, make sure that you have your goals set and go working towards those goals. Okay. So, um, you know, um, the way I like to think about it is, um, you might have like a major goal that you really want to do, like, um, you have like one major goal that you really want to get to, right? You want to pass that finish line and go, I succeeded on that, right? But sometimes that could be a very daunting and challenging goal. Okay. Um, say it this way. Uh, Say you want to run a marathon, right? Like, I'm gonna run a marathon. I'm gonna do that. 5 mile run. Right, right. Well, if I tried to do that right now, like I go outside and try to run 5 miles, I'd probably be collapsing. I don't have that amount of um, you know, ability, to try to start that like, you know, um, cold turkey, start that up and try to run for 5 miles. Yeah, probably not gonna work out very well for me, right? So the idea is take smaller steps. You know, uh, you know, maybe it's just, hey, run up and down the street, run around the block, run around 2 blocks, run around, and just kind of, slowly increasing it over time. It's not, you're not going to be, um, you're not going to be able to hit that 5 mile marker, cold turkey without, some kind of hardship to it, right? So, um, so, smaller goals. Get yourself some smaller goals and work towards those. Okay. If you have to take a step back, take a step back. Like maybe you pushed yourself a little too hard for one particular goal. Take a step back, and recompose yourself and work back to that one goal that you had, right? So, and there's no problems with that. So, that's what I'm doing with the Pega certification. That's what I'm doing with these Unreal Engine study sessions. You know, um, these are small goals. Me, doing these streams, this is a small goal. Every day I come on, I stream, you know, I do, the Pega, the Unreal, the uploads, um, and the game sessions. These are all small goals for me, and they're all leading up to a larger goal. Okay. So, um, hopefully that hopefully that motivates you, you know. Um, figure out what your large goal is, but then start looking at smaller goals. Make smaller goals for yourself, manageable goals, and then keep on working towards those. Okay. Um, you know, um, think of it this way. Um, Say you want to run, for example, using the example before, you want to run the 5 mile marathon, right? Well, you're not going to hit that 5 miles tomorrow, okay? I mean, unless you've been running all your life, you're not going to be hitting that 5 mile marathon tomorrow, okay? So what you want to do is you want to do, small small steps. You know, can you run, you know, perfectly with full stamina without tiring yourself out, for a quarter of a mile, half a mile, three-fourths of a mile? Can you go to the 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles? Then eventually you'll get to the 5 miles. But take the small steps, okay? You know, find out where those distances are and see, how much you can get there, okay? If you try to go like the 2 miles, for example, but you can't make it, like you're really struggling on it, then go back to like the, you know, 1 3/4 mile, and work on that more until you build up your ability, your endurance, and so on and so forth to, make it easier to get that 2 miles down. It's all about small goals getting to your larger goal. So, um, so don't give up on it. Okay. Um, you know, uh, maybe you know one of the main problems that a lot of people have with you know like you know like losing weight, for example, right? That's a common one that a lot of people struggle with at times, right? Um, some people think, that, hey, you know, I'm going to like cut out all this food that I'm eating, and I'm going to lose like 5 pounds tomorrow or something like that, or 10 pounds tomorrow or whatever. They come up with this wild idea that, hey, I'm going to be able to shed all these pounds that I have in just, days. It's like, well, no, not necessarily, that's not always the most achievable goal that you can do, you know. Um, think about like, what are you eating? What are you drinking? Are there, healthier solutions to what you can eat, what you can't eat? You know, um, you know, don't give up on some of the things that you like to eat, okay? But obviously, moderation is definitely a key here. Like for example, if you absolutely love chocolate, like you can't, you love it, you absolutely need to have it. Believe me, I know, I loved chocolate way back in the day, right? Um, but obviously, um, if it gets to a point where you can't have it anymore, or you're you're causing yourself harm because of it, then reduce down, how much you have. Okay. You don't have to get rid of it completely. Okay. You just have to reduce it down, to the point where, um, you might, find other things that you might enjoy that might be healthier for you, you know? Um, so, you know, just, just small goals, you know, and that will help, you know? So, and it will take time, especially for something like that, especially for losing weight. It's not something that, you wave a magic wand and, there goes all your fat. No, it doesn't work that way. As much as, some people might want it to. Um, you know, um, you know, removing all the foods that you enjoy eating to try to like starve yourself. That's not gonna work either. You're gonna go right back into, you're like, oh my God, I haven't had this in such a long time. I'm gonna eat through, like, I cut out burgers because there's so much fat, blah blah blah. I'm no longer gonna have burgers, but you know, if you there might be a day where you're like going, boy, I could really use a burger right now. Yum, right? You might eat like two or three at that point or something, right? So, you're gonna do yourself more harm than good on that, you know. Um, small goals. And don't worry about like treating yourself from time to time. Obviously, you can't be having it like every single day, you know, or you can't maintain the same kind of eating routine that you might have had before, but at the same time, have the same kind of eating routine, but change it a little bit. You know, like you have your 7 days of like fast food or whatever, right? You know, that you're eating, but you want to lose weight. Maybe knock it down to like 6 days, you know, at the start, and have that one day of, having something healthier to eat or something along those lines. Look at, healthier options, you know, and then cut it down to five, then four, then three, then two, and maybe just, have one day a week of, something that you know, a little treat for yourself, that, chocolate cake or something like that, whatever, you know, it's all those like small goals that will lead to the larger goal. So, but obviously it'll take time. So, but that's just me kind of doing my own thing. So, you know, you don't obviously need to listen to me, um, but I'm just, you know, uh, it's just food that might help if you're kind of struggling on something. So, all right, but that's it. Take care. Um, Closing down the video. So, have a good day, and I will see you all next time.